The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Patrick Allvin woke up this morning, worked out, busted a nut, made Swedish meatballs, went to Canucks development camp, signed 4 players, cut 4 players, and qualified 2 others. What have you done with your day so far?
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks and also a Canucks writer currently with the Daily Hive, Vancouver. Before we dive into the show, we got to thank you for tuning in to Locked On Canucks because it is your Canucks every damn day. And we're not here without you tuning in, and we appreciate the hell out of you for doing so. We also got to shout out something else we appreciate, and that's those sponsors, baby, and getting us paid. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. I don't think that people were a fan of this prediction, but last week I did say that the Canucks' secret agenda, of course, which I uncovered, that the Canucks might underwhelm fans by the time we get to early July. And lo and behold, the Canucks, they make the selection at the draft on Friday night. And of course, they head into free agency with less cap space than most other teams. But at the end of the day, this is still silly season in the NHL. And if we all know one thing as Canucks fans, is that you should expect the silly if you're a fan of the Vancouver Canucks. Lots to get to on today's show, but let's kick it off by talking about 2 guys in the news, 2 guys tied to the Vancouver Canucks, one more so than the other, and that is Mikael Granlund and Thatcher Demko. We'll get into the possibility of the Canucks signing Mikael Granlund. Doesn't make sense, and we'll get into the potential Thatcher Demko extension as well. As I mentioned off the top, the Canucks made a ton of moves this morning. Everything I said off the top was true, from Patrick Allvin busting a nut to talking of 10 different players. Speaking of guys working out, Kyle Bains here with us. We'll get into the Canucks signings and all the other news and notes from around the NHL in this episode of Locked On Canucks. Kyle, are you at the gym right now, man?
Yep, I'm at the gym right now. I don't know if this is too noisy for you, but I'm just trying to become the second line center for the Vancouver Canucks, considering that we're going down the Granlund trade. And as Teal Mac is saying, stop with the Granlund madness. All in all, though, Trevor, I got it, man. I'll become the second line center.
Dude, nice. Kyle, round of applause for you, buddy. Someone's got to do it, and Kyle Bowen is stepping up. Man, oh man, dude, are you busting a nut right now, man? You look like you're thrusting.
Dude, I'm on this damn stair climber, man. Come on, man. Yo, again, everyone that's watching this right now, if we're telling the people Patterson's got to get into shape, you better be getting your fat ass into shape too, okay? Sorry, didn't mean to fat shame there. But I'm not body shaming. I'm just saying in general. Let's all put that work in. Let's put the city on the map. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, well, there we go. And so some breaking news right now, courtesy of our insider Dan Jardine and the rest of the hockey world. Mitch Marner signed and trade going to the Vegas Golden Knights, 8-year deal paying him $12 million a season. That's also been reported by Chris Johnson as well. So, man, oh man, things got a little bit more stacked in the Pacific Division today. Mitch Marner going to the Vegas Golden Knights.
Damn, I didn't think about that. Because
and the Kings are big in on Marner as well, right? That was another team who was clearing cap space. They traded Jordan Spence, among other things, to try to clear some space for Marner as well.
That's nuts. And Trevor, just let me know if it's too noisy. I don't have to hop on this whole episode. I've been running around today. I need this workout, but damn, the Pacific got a lot better. Say what you want about Mitch Marner. It's hard for the Vancouver Canucks to win regular season games, and it got a lot harder today.
100%. And, as Dan Jardine's also saying in the comments, the Vegas Golden Knights are going to have to clear some cap space as well. And, they've been working on that of late, and I think they are really right now banking on, Alex Pietrangelo and just using that LTIR space, although they somehow do have to be cap compliant, or they can only exceed the cap by 10%. So there are other moves coming, regardless of the fact that Alex Pietrangelo and his $8.8 million salary will likely be on LTIR for the entirety of next season. Reports that he's got to have multiple surgeries and that he will miss all of next season. But again, your Vancouver Canucks perhaps playing checkers while others are playing chess. And that brings us to Mikael Granlund here. Mikael Granlund, look, I mentioned this on my CTV hit that I think that Mikael Granlund will be a top target for the Vancouver Canucks. You've heard a bit more steam on this over the past couple of days as well. Hopefully it wasn't coming from my report. But I think just remove all the rumors aside, I think Mikael Granlund as a target for the Canucks makes sense in the sense that if you lose Pius Suter, really the best center left on the board is Mikael Granlund. The two of them play similar styles. Of course, Mikael Granlund a little bit better offensively, not as good defensively, but had a hell of a year last season with the San Jose Sharks as their top player. They just, made the most of not having good line mates and then playing big minutes. Goes to Dallas and he gets more ice time than Rope Hintz. Has a pretty good run in the playoffs as well. Now, the interesting thing about Mikael Granlund, Kyle, I was thinking before this episode that Mikael Granlund's probably going to get $7 million in free agency. And it comes down to, would you want Mikael Granlund at 4 years, $7 million, or Pius Suter at 5 times 5? I would still rather Pius Suter at 5 times 5, and I don't think that's much of a debate. I still think Canucks fans would be like, really, Pius Suter was our big move, that's it? Evander Kane was your other big move, so that's your Vancouver Canucks right there. But again, with Mikael Granlund, the interesting thing is just looking at his contract projection, courtesy of AFP Analytics, he's projected to get around $5 million. That's about the same as Pius Suter. Now, Kyle, if it was the exact same contract, let's just say wouldn't be 5 years for Mikael Granlund, I don't think, but let's say, both players, Pius Suter, Mikael Granlund, you could sign one of them at 4 years, $5 million per season. Which one would you be going for?
Probably Pius Suter. Well, most definitely Pius Suter. It is what it is. You know what you're going to get. And the Canucks just need to lean into their strengths, Trevor. And let's not ignore the fact that, trading for Evander Kane is signaling to the organization that, if we're going to bring on this noise and we want to keep Quinn Hughes, we got to win next season. And I don't know how much Granlund pushes the needle, even though he's a really good player. And emphasis on really good. He's a bit of a play driver. I know he's smaller, and maybe this city has a bit of Granlund fatigue, but the guy's a good player. That being said, you keep Suter, you lean into the defense side of the game, you lean into having a good, strong PK, and then you win some regular season games, and you get into the playoffs. I know it sounds small-minded, but I'd much rather lean into our strengths and our ideologies as opposed to, spending the dough on Mikael Granlund. Now, I will say this, Trevor, you brought up a good point on the phone earlier today. If they do get Granlund, let's not be so pissed off, because at least this organization didn't pay a premium to get a questionable second line center courtesy of the trade market, right? And this is the other option. This is probably their last option. So it's not surprising that they're going after Granlund. But to answer your question, let us know in the comments, like Suter or Granlund. Suter or Granlund. I'm picking Suter.
Yeah, I'm 100% picking Pius Suter as well. And look, he had 25 goals last season. He outscored Mikael Granlund. At the end of the day, still, Granlund is a better offensive player, but he's 5 years older. I think with Pius Suter, like you said, Kyle, you know what you're going to get. And again, ideally, you want him in a third line role. I still think that and this is not elite by any means. It's his middle of the pack or worse. But, Pettersson and Hedel as your 1-2, a ton of risk with both those players. But you have Pius Suter perfectly slotted as a 3C and a guy who can bump up the lineup if needed. Now, I think at this point, Canucks fans should probably be scared about losing Pius Suter, because honestly, with Mikael Granlund, my thought is that I think the Canucks are going to be interested for sure, but I'm sure that other teams are going to outbid the Canucks. Kyle, I said this on Friday, but there's 25 teams in the NHL that have more salary cap space than your Vancouver Canucks, right? I mean, this is not a team that's flush with cash or flush with assets. They're going to have a hard time competing in this market. And what I do think is going to happen to these Vancouver Canucks, and we always talk about how, July 1st, 2nd comes around, a lot of big moves, and it really dies down. I do wonder, just because the trade market's been bottlenecked, for lack of a better term, like there just haven't been the big deals that many insiders thought there would be. I do wonder if we kind of get into that first, second week of July until something other big shakes loose for your Vancouver Canucks, if there is something big at all. Again, I said it may be underwhelming this free agency period, but I think the Canucks are probably going to get outbid on Granlund. I'm a little worried they're going to get outbid on Suter as well. And maybe to put a bow on this, man, Canucks management. I mean, man, oh man, just cheering for Alvin and Rutherford has been a bit like a fool's errand, right? I mean, I was pumping his tires for busting a nut and making Swedish meatballs this morning. I will get to the work he actually did on the other side here. But at the end of the day, the reports were they had a chance to sign Suter in February for around $3 million, and they held off. And now look where they are.
Trevor, I said that,
where they're begging Suter to sign for $5 million a season.
Dude, I know he was a streaky player this season at times, and he scored a lot of his goals towards the end of the year. But there's moments like in October where I was saying they got to sign this guy right now, sometime in January too, because he's just overall a good player, even minus the goals. He's good on the PK. That means a lot. I mean, we just saw what Florida did with their third line, like on a deep team, on a stacked team. Suter could be more than useful. Like, I believe you win with players like Pius Suter. And yeah, now we might be outbid on the whole Pius Suter thing. But if we're gonna, talk about being outbid, let's keep bringing this up. Not just to be negative, but to bring up the obvious. The trade market was hard for the Canucks to dive into this summer, not because there wasn't a market or the market was over exaggerated. It was more so because the Canucks chose to not trade Pius Suter and didn't have extra assets. Like, this was a good summer to possibly have an extra first or second round pick. It was. Now, give credit to the Canucks, though, because they didn't have that, and they still chose to not use what they did have to fill up that second spot and be delusional or rush the fact. They kind of took it on the chin, which, again, some credit has to be given, considering how crazy this market is, how much pressure's on the line next year. We could have done something major stupid, but I feel as if because we didn't have the assets, we didn't take that chance. And now we're left with something that you just brought up, right? Maybe in a couple weeks, something else shakes loose. And I hope that if a trade is made, it's more of a guarantee. And I keep bringing it up, but Matt Barzal, you got to shoot big. If you're making a trade involving prospects and picks, and you're the Canucks, it's not for a question mark, right? It's for somebody that can maybe compete with Pettersson. Like, you're replacing JT Miller. That should be the standard.
That should be the standard for your Vancouver Canucks. And they're in tough to make it happen. But again, we're really getting to the thick of it here on Locked On Canucks. Lots happening in the NHL right now. Lots happening with your Vancouver Canucks. Lots happening with Kyle Bowen.
Like I said, man.
The second line center, man. Kyle Bowen making a debut in the NHL at 32 years old, man.
Yeah.
Inspirational story, man.
Inspirational, man. Somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to do it, man. I'm working hard. Nothing's impossible. It is what it is. You're going to tell me that I can't make the NHL? Look at how I'm working right now. Who else is podcasting it? And going to the stair climber. All in all, though, it's so interesting to see us question who our second line center is going to be, even though we did trade for Filipino, and also we did sign Atu Raty today. So I want to talk more about that as well, because there's a chance. There's a chance that we get a lot out of him over the next 2 years.
All right, Kyle Bowen building up the Atu Raty hype train. As we get into the other side, we'll talk about the pending Thatcher Demco extension and all the other moves the Canucks made today, because, yeah, Patrick Alvin, he had a busy morning, man, and now Kyle Bowen trying to keep up and make his life even busier by signing his entry-level contract. Kyle, take a couple minutes to get the sweat rag out, man. Unbelievable. And we'll be back on the other side here on Locked On Canucks. All right, before we get back to the show, let's shout out our friends over at FanDuel, baby. If you're betting on sports, the place you got to do, the place you got to go is FanDuel. I know it's baseball time, not necessarily my sport, but maybe it's yours. I hear there's some money to be made there. Let's go follow the pitching. And, of course, my beloved CFL as well. You can place bets for that on FanDuel. And, man, oh, man, any bets on FanDuel? The bets on FanDuel about Mitch Marner going to Vegas, if you believe that, and I think at one point it was about plus 230 that Marner would end up in Vegas, the best odds of any other team. You would have been rewarded on FanDuel, okay? Because FanDuel, no matter the sport, could be lawn bowling, could be competitive ballet, they got your back, baby. And if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5. Get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. So what are you waiting for? Open that FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. Boom, bam. What are the odds on Kyle Ballin becoming the next Canucks second line center? Plus 100, baby. It's a 50-50 coin flip. And let's go.
Okay, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. I'm on the stair climber. I don't give a puck. I'm moving back in with my parents in a couple of days, which means I got to get my ish together, and which also means, if we're talking a lot of ish about Elias Pettersson, and let's be honest, Trevor, how badly do we need a second line center if Elias Pettersson returns to being an alien, okay? But what happens if Thatcher Demko is completely healthy and he's back, and he's only playing 50 games before the playoffs start? You know what I'm saying? I'm reading that book on Patrick Waugh. Rookie goaltender, wins the Stanley Cup with the Canadians. Underwhelming team, he's the backbone. He gets it done. All in all, what I'm saying is this. If you want Pettersson again to get back into shape, be that elite number one center, and you're not doing anything, you're not doing any sit-ups, you're not going for walks, shame on you. We're all in this together. We're all Canucks. We put in that work together. We're all a team. Let's hold each other accountable. And go Canucks.
Kyle Ballin, man, setting the standard here in Vancouver. And, Elias Pettersson, again, he pretty much holds all the cards for the Canucks next season. If they're going to bounce back, he's going to play a big part in it. But so will Thatcher Demko, who, many of you in the comments, and maybe we should just get to the comments, man, because some of you maybe not in love with the idea of Thatcher Demko coming back to Vancouver. Man, oh man, Lane Stanley in the comments. Shout out to Lane Stanley, longtime listener by the sounds of it, always commenting. We appreciate all of you commenting here on Locked On Canucks. And he says, oh my God, we need to get past Demko. He's just going to get hurt again. Let Shelovs try and let Lankinen start. I can't keep watching Demko playing and worrying if he'll be injured after every shot. And honestly, Lane kind of reminds me of my mom watching hockey. My mom always gets so stressed out in the third period in a tight game. And you had that stress as a Canuck fan this season watching Thatcher Demko play hockey, waiting for the other shoe to drop. And Thatcher Demko, again, he played 18 games, got injured 3 times. You see where Lane's coming from. But again, with the Vancouver Canucks, you really do have to bet up. Oh, sorry about that. You really do have to bet on upside with Thatcher Demko because, man, oh man, if the Canucks don't have elite goaltending, they're going to be in trouble next season. And Thatcher Demko gives you the best chance to have elite goaltending with the Vancouver Canucks. Now, in terms of the next contract, the reports haven't leaked out to what it's going to be. My assumption would be somewhere in that 4-year, $7-ish million range. Kyle, would that be your expectation? And, if so, how would you feel about a deal like that for Thatcher Demko?
Yeah, let's be real, Trevor. As much as we love Demko, it's so scary how the organization, or when I say the organization, the league, the NHL, that organization said no more to the LTIR thing, right? You're not allowed to use that thing after next season. And now we're going to sign Demko to a 4-year deal worth $28 million. That's scary. That's really, really, really scary. So I want to throw it back to you and ask you this. And everyone in the comments get in on this too, because I'm trying to make sense of it. Ryan Henderson, Donnie Daly was asking this. What's the rush? What's the rush in signing Thatcher Demko? Why not wait so we can get through a whole training camp? Why not wait till December to see if he can, play 10 out of 15 starts and not get hurt? What's the rush, Trevor?
The rush to me is there really only is a rush if you think you can get Thatcher Demko at a discount right now. That's the only reason to rush the deal. I mean, if Thatcher Demko, again, it's so tough with the injury history, but if he bet on himself and just had a stellar year next year, whether he signs with the Canucks or he signs somewhere else, he's going to get a boatload of money, right? Way more than he would get this offseason. So I think for the Canucks, the rationale for rushing this, quote unquote, would be if you can get Thatcher Demko at a discount. If he's, at a Vezina level, he's going to push $10 million, I think. You think Allmark and Swayman, but then cap inflated for that 130 million plus salary cap that we're going to see. So honestly, to get Demko at like 7-ish million, if you believe he can stay healthy, which really is anyone's guess, that's going to be a discount. If you get him for even less than that, it's a steal. But again, the thing with Demko is the health for sure. And of course, if he isn't healthy, you can always LTIR him and use the cap space, which isn't ideal, but that is still an option to at least, you're not tied to the contract or anything like that if he does get out due to injury. And I think that is why you make the risk if you're the Vancouver Canucks, because again, if he's healthy, he's proven that he's one of the best goaltenders in the league. And if he's not healthy, you put him on LTIR. And again, look, I think Shilov's played great in the postseason. I think there is something to be said about him, staying with the Canucks. It's a tough situation overall. I think I said before, I would probably go Demko and Shilov. I know it's risky as hell. The safe thing to do is to have Lankinen and then pick one of Shilov's or Demko. But man, oh man, I'm a believer in Thatcher Demko. I don't think he's washed or going to retire due to injury at this point. So I would roll the dice on Thatcher Demko. And again, very curious to see this extension, but I would tell fans to expect somewhere in that 4 years, $7-ish million range would be my guess.
Gosh, I got water damage on my phone. That's how much I'm sweating.
Wow.
Trying to prove a point here. Demko's working his ass off, okay? I can be pessimistic. I can question him being hurt down the road. I can question us wasting a lot of money here. And we could shelf this guy on the LTIR. Maybe he retires early. But I wonder what like money spent on a unused asset is going to do for Francesco's mindset moving forward when it comes to him opening up his wallet even more. So there's still some risk. LTIR side, I don't know if Athlete wants to spend money on players that are not playing for him. All in all, though, again, I believe Demko. Credit to his work. And I was talking to my dad about this today. We need Demko's leadership in that room more than ever. I swear to you, and I know this is the truth, my sources are telling me this. If Demko was healthy last year and he was in that dressing room, not only as a number one goalie, but just again as a leader, Miller's not going anywhere. Patterson and Miller figure it out. We need Thatcher Demko. He's an X factor, and I wish him nothing but the best. Again, I'm reading that book on Patrick Waugh. If anyone can pull off a miracle, it's Thatcher Demko, Trevor. Go Canucks, go.
Go Canucks, go, buddy. And again, Thatcher Demko in the news today, although there's nothing official yet on his contract. But Carol Bovenlander in the comments saying, have you heard anything about the Canucks today? Well.
I heard something. I heard something. Can you pull up that super chat? My phone has water. Can you pull up that super chat?
Okay, all right. Here we go. Breaking news here on Locked On Canucks.
Yeah, it's right there. Thank you, Major Tao. He's saying Bowen. I think he needs to say me, Bowen. First line center, 3.5 mil for the next couple of years. Look at me, I'm working my ass off. Podcasting, stair climber. Trying to become that second line center. Again, we're all in this together. Let's stay positive. Let's put that work in. And the Canucks are going to pull off a miracle. That's serotonin talking to you, but at the same time, that's some belief. Trevor Beggs, we win in the cup.
Let's go, man. Let's go. Kyle Ballin, working hard, sweating hard. These guys sweat hard during the season, but a couple other extensions. I know you out there thinking, stop extending. What are we going to do on July 1st? But again, we mentioned Marner already, the sign and trade. There was the Ekblad extension, 8 years, $6.1 million. Evan Bouchard, 4 years, $10.5 million to stay with Edmonton. And Brad Marchand, apparently a 6-year deal, $6 million a season, keeping him in Florida.
Yeah, okay. You know what? Sorry to cut you off, Trevor. That's enough bullshit. Gary Bettman, if you're listening to this, enough is enough. Now, straight up. You got to rewrite the CBA. I know you guys just confirmed it, but F this Florida tax stuff. I know you're trying to ignore it and maybe say, oh, look at back in the day. Nobody was complaining about it. Okay, shut up. We're all complaining about it right now, and it's a hack. It's a hack. It's not fair. Change the rules. No, straight up. Give us more cap space in those no tax teams. This ain't fair. Are you kidding me? That ain't right.
Yeah. I've tended to agree with that for a long time, but again, just talking to some other people in finance and again in Canada, that US dollar that you make while living in Canada does go a lot further as well. I know you're supposed to pay some of that back to tax. There may be some ways around that as well. The other thing too is that I find interesting, just to play devil's advocate here, is we're all talking about all these no tax states, and they're getting these perks and they're winning, and it's not fair. A lot of no tax states were not successful hockey franchises for a long time either. So right now, it's a hot topic.
Now they are. But now they are. They've been to six straight Stanley Cup Finals. Dallas has been to three straight Western Conference Finals. Vegas has been in three of the last six. Maybe they've won a Stanley Cup. It's trying to catch up. We can't ignore that. Now, kudos to Florida because they have a winning environment, and they're possibly going to pay Brad Marchand post-retirement. They're taking a risk with that contract. They built that culture where nobody wants to leave. Kudos to them, but let's not ignore the fact that it matters. That it matters. They can rightfully get one more extra $8 million player on their team every year because they're saving money on taxes. It's just the way it is. There's truth to that, man. Anyways, I gotta go. I'm tired. I'm so sorry for podcasting while on the stair climber. I just want to prove a point. My dad and I were talking this morning while we were doing some moving. Again, I'm moving back with my parents at 32 and a half years old. Trevor, I don't know why you're laughing at me. Why are you laughing?
I wasn't laughing, man.
Why are you laughing, bro? It's just part of life, man. It's a journey, okay? It's not a sprint.
No, I'm jealous that I'm jealous of you right now. Bro.
Okay, I don't have to cook meals. I know I'm super blessed. All in all, though, I was talking to my dad, and you know what? Let's talk about the Florida thing just a bit, even more. Tax jokes aside, that team is committed to playing hockey. They're committed to playing through the pain. They're committed to working for excellence, and that's what I want to do here today. Be on the stair climber. I had it at 11 or 12 the whole time. Pedersen, if you're watching this, put in that work. No excuses. It's the off season, but in Vancouver, it's the on season. Write that one down, buddy.
Woo! There you go. It's the on season here on Locked On Canucks. Kyle, go shower, man. You greasy dude, man. I'm proud of you today, brother. Kyle Bowen, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we're going to go wrap it around here and then decide to wrap up here on Locked On Canucks, talking about all of Alvin's moves and to get into some of your comments. Again, you're listening to Locked On Canucks. All right, we're back here on Locked On Canucks. Your Canucks every damn day, the last day before NHL free agency. And as we're doing the show here, some of the big names coming off the board. Don't know if there's a ton of surprises there with Ekblad and Marchand staying with the Florida Panthers. Although, again, Marchand staying there until he's 43 years old. That one did surprise me just a little bit. Now, again, the Canucks did make a bunch of moves, bunch of signings today. So let's get into the Abbotsford Canucks being rewarded with different contracts today. So let's start with Max Sasson. Gets a 1-year, one-way contract extension, paying him $775,000, the league minimum. Actually, all the four players I'm going to mention here did get the league minimum, $775,000. And the Sasson one's interesting, getting the fact that it is a one-way deal. And then, Colin talked about a lot during the run, the fact that maybe he didn't put up the most points in Abbotsford, but might be the most NHL-ready piece that the Canucks have heading into next season. Maybe the best deal of the bunch, though, Aatu Raty, who really showcased some NHL potential heading into next season. I actually thought his deal would be closer to the $1 million mark, but he signs a 2-year extension. It is a one-way contract, paying him $775,000 per season. Now, Matt, I'm hitting the applause button on Patrick O'Beam for that one, man. I haven't been hitting the applause lately for this guy, but for this one, Patrick, you deserve it. Again, Aatu Raty got in a little bit of a heater down the stretch, scored a handful of goals during his late season call-up, and was near a point a game for Abbotsford Canucks as well. It sounds like reports right now are, and maybe this is the Canucks organization leaking some things out, trying to, stomach the fact that fans might not be happy about a lot of upgrades in free agency and on the trade market. But a report did come out via The Athletic that the Canucks may be preparing to head into next season with Pedersen, Hedl, Raty, and Bluger as their 4 centers. And I think a lot of Canucks fans are going to go, because ideally, to expect Aatu Raty or Teddy Bluger to be a third-line center, you're asking a bit much. Now, Raty, I think, absolutely has the potential to do so, but he's on a steep learning curve to go from part-time NHLer and call-up to full-time third-line center. And Teddy Blueger that last season showed that when he's in the fourth-line center role, that really is the sweet spot for him. And, of course, we all know about Pettersson and Hedl at the top of the lineup. Now, two more signings from the Abbotsford Canucks. Archdeep Bains, the pride of Surrey, also gets a 2-year contract for $775,000 per season. Interesting tidbit about this deal. The first year is a 2-way contract. He'll make $290,000 to play with the Abbotsford Canucks. The second year is a 1-way contract. So the Vancouver Canucks, again, showing the commitment to Archdeep Bains and saying that, maybe by the 2026-27 season, he may be ready to be a full-time NHLer. And if not, he'll still take home $775,000. There we go. Now, last but not least, Guillaume Brisebois, one of the longest tenured Canucks, also signed a 1-year 2-way contract, again, $775K at the NHL level, $500K to play in the minors. In terms of the rest of the news, the Canucks offer tender qualifying offers to 2 players, meaning they won't go to unrestricted free agency. Those 2 players were Jet Wu and Nikita Tolopilo. Jet Wu, of course, he's been in the AHL level for a long time. I don't think he's ever really going to be a full-time NHLer, but could be a call-up option for your Canucks. And Nikita Tolopilo could very well be the starter for your Abbotsford Canucks next year if the Canucks do indeed trade Archer Shilovs. The Canucks did not issue qualifying offers to 4 players, the most notable one being Cole McWard, also Tristan Nielsen as well. That one's a bit of a tough one. Vancouver Giant, local kid, really tenacious player. So Tristan Nielsen, Cole McWard, Christian Felton, and Ty Glover are all set to become unrestricted free agents. So Patrick Allvin, busy today, but maybe not busy in the sense that y'all like. Now, let's get to a couple comments before we wrap up here on Locked On Canucks. Man, oh man, the news trickling in here in terms of free agent signings. Now, Ivan Provorov signing a 7-year deal, paying him $8.5 million per season. And I want to bring this one up because Marcus Pettersson, if you've been listening to the show, if you're an occasional listener or an everydayer, you know that I have not been a fan of the decision to trade that first-round pick for Marcus Pettersson. And it's not a hot take. I mean, you could have had this guy on July 1st. Now, the caveat is he would have been much more expensive than what the Canucks signed him for, which, of course, was a 6-year deal, paying him $5.5 million per season that starts next year. And Marcus Pettersson, again, he is a legitimate number 3, second-pairing defenseman. Beautiful defensive metrics, can move the puck up the ice, isn't actually going to give you a ton of offense. But that contract right now, for the amount that I ripped that trade for, and I still don't think it was a good idea, but that contract is looking like an absolute steal right now. And again, that's human nature, baby. We always focus on the negatives. Where's the scoring? Where's Elias Pettersson? Who are they going to trade for? Where's the offense going to come from? But the defense itself looks freaking solid right now. And a big part of that is because Marcus Pettersson is shouldering a second pair right now, which should be a shutdown pair for the Canucks. A pairing that should allow Quinn Hughes to flourish even more offensively heading into next season. So again, if you want to pause it for the Vancouver Canucks, seeing some of these contracts come out, again, the Evan Bouchard deal, I know he's a great offensive player, but he's got some warts to his game. We've all seen it. Ivan Provorov for $8.5 million. Man, oh man, it should make you feel a little bit better about the deal for Marcus Pettersson. Again, Dan Jardine saying it here, Provorov getting grossly overpaid. MP3 is his equal. I think MP3 is actually a better player than Ivan Provorov. Not as flashy, but in terms of a steady defender who's actually going to prevent goals, MP3, Marcus Pettersson, is a pretty damn good player. And Dylan McDonald saying in the comments there, Corona contract also looking nice with all these D signings. Hey, that was one at the time where, again, it felt like fair value for Corona, what he signed for. But what you're seeing right now based on the market, another contract that's looking pretty good for your Vancouver Canucks. Not to mention Quinn Hughes should probably be making double the money because he is one of the best damn players on the planet right now. All right, I'm getting out of here on Locked On Canucks. Again, all the news breaking on Locked On Canucks. We'll get you covered, okay? We'll be hitting up the shorts on YouTube, likely doing an episode tomorrow night. I'm parenting solo with the 2 kids, man. Oh, man. I mean, you don't want to hear me with the podcast with 2 screaming kids. But again, it is Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every day. We got you covered. Whatever happens, it's go Canucks go. Patrick Alvin, bust a nut, make the Swedish meatballs, get it done.
Your Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.